So a very, very long time ago, I skipped out of high school one day with my friend Lara to go to a little radio station called WLIR because Matt Johnson of The was going to be there. I think it's the only day. I'm going to say it's the only day that I skipped school to go do something cool. And I couldn't not because it was Matt Johnson and The and Uncertain Smile and Perfect and This Is the Day and so many other fucking tracks. Just soul mining the whole fucking record, infected the whole goddamn record. Anyway, we skipped school to go meet Matt Johnson, and I could barely speak when we met. But my friend Lara was more of a theater kid, and she did the chatting. And anyway, it was lovely. We met him. Lovely, brilliant motherfucker. Many years later, I'm talking 6, maybe. I was working in downtown Manhattan, and I kept seeing this dude around who I was like, that has to be Matt Johnson. And one day I was buying a coffee, and he was standing close enough to me that I heard his voice, which I was like, yeah, that's totally Matt Johnson. And of course, being a New Yorker, and the rules, at least back in the day when we were cool in New York, is that I didn't talk to him. I just kind of nodded, and I got my coffee, and he got his coffee, and Starbucks, didn't exist yet. Actual Italians made coffee in the West Village. And so every once in a while I'd run into him, see him here and again. Hey. I think he knew me from around the block effectively because I worked there and he lived down there. I wasn't really sure where. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, then at a later date, I was walking in the West Village somewhere near what was then St. Vincent's. I don't know what it's called now. I don't keep up. I don't live in New York City anymore. And I was wearing the infected shirt, which at that point had to be a few years old. 5, whatever. And some guy stopped me on the street and said, so you're a fan of the band? I said, yeah, that's why I'm wearing the shirt. And he was like, because they're playing a secret gig at CBGB tomorrow night. And I was like, can't possibly be true. But I called my friend. And I was like, look, either we spend $20 and we see the at CBGB's, or we spend $20 and we see some other band at CBGB's. Like, who gives a shit? Let's go. So we went, and it was fucking the. So I saw, this is when Johnny Marr was playing with a band for Youth Smith's fans. I saw the at CBGB, which was fucking awesome and ridiculous and great. Years later, still working in the West Village. I worked out of the West Village for like 9 years. Ran into the dude a couple more times. He was kind of nodded at me. I nodded back. Never talked. And then one day, I was going to see Oingo Boingo's last gig in New York City, which was in 96. I have no idea what month it was. My memory does not serve that far, because that's 5,000 years ago, approximately, in Gen X time. But I was going to this final fucking Oingo Boingo show, and who do I run into on my way into the show but Matt Johnson, who sees me and recognizes me and is like does that sort of thing. And so I was like, yeah, I would follow him. I would follow Matt Johnson to my own death. So I walk behind him, and he brings me backstage, where I get to hang out with Danny Elfman before Oingo Boingo's last gig in 96. And Matt Johnson's just hanging out, and I went up and I said, thank you. And a couple years later, when my book came out, he was still living downtown because I still saw him around. And I went up. I had figured out at this point, just because of proximity, where I saw him, coffee shops, intuition. I figured out what building he was living in, and so I had a published book, and this dude's music had saved me through fucking high school and college, and so I brought my book to the front desk and said, look, you don't have to confirm or deny that someone named Matt Johnson lives here, but if he does, I'm a big fan. I don't want to bother him, but I wrote a book, and I just want him to know that his fans aren't just fans that were out here doing cool shit, too. It was a book about cross-dressing, and frankly, he'd already done a video with Miss Vera, and I knew he was a weirdo, because all good artists are. So anyway, I dropped off my book, and maybe a year after that, maybe I ran into him one other time. We just kind of nodded, whatever. And I was tempted tonight to wait out for him, but I didn't because I was with a friend who's being boring and suburban. Sorry, Alex, but you were being boring and suburban. And so I didn't wait, but I kind of feel like I should have. Anyway, that's my story. Nobody knows who he is. But, for the youngs, Guardian the Galaxy Volume 3, this is the day, that's the, and you should listen to all the rest of their fucking music. Because if Gen X had any fucking sense, he would be the poet of our generation. That's all. Love y'all.